Before we start, we advise viewers to consider carefully. The following content is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. The courtroom was tense when the door opened, but no one expected the woman who walked in to be both fragile and fierce, anxious yet fearless. She wasn't a lawyer, and she wasn't the accuser, she was Britney Spears. For the first time since her release, Britney spoke not as a pop princess, but as a survivor. What she said about Diddy, the night before the 2007 VMA Awards, Lou Taylor and Robin Greenhill shook the entire room. This isn't just about music. This story is about betrayal, manipulation, and a whole system built to destroy her. And did he do it? He never saw it coming. Let's break down what Britney Spears revealed under oath and why this industry is so terrified. The courtroom was on edge. Prosecutors had hinted all week that a surprise witness might show up. But no one expected Britney Spears to walk through that door. Her heels clicked softly on the floor, her head bowed but steady. Even the judge took a moment to react. Diddy's legal team exchanged looks of panic. Sean Combs shifted in his seat, whispering something to his lawyer. But Britney didn't look at him. Not yet. She sat down in the witness stand, arms folded on her lap. This wasn't the flashy pop star the world remembered. This was someone changed, more mature, wiser, and scarred. She cleared her throat and spoke into the microphone with a shaky but determined voice. I was told to stay silent my whole life. They said it was to protect me, but that wasn't true. And now, I'm done being silent. The courtroom fell completely silent the moment she spoke. Even the ringing phones and reporters' murmurs stopped. Britney testified that she wasn't just another celebrity in Diddy's circle. She was a victim of the network itself, now being exposed in court. She shared that it all started the night before the 2007 MTV Video Music Awards. I went to a party hosted by Sean Combs. I was told it would be safe, just drinks and fun with a few other celebrities. But it wasn't safe. It changed my life. She said she didn't plan to stay long. She wanted to do well at the VMAs the next night. That was supposed to be her comeback. But that night, someone handed her a glass of champagne. Diddy smiled and said it was supposed to be her comeback. But that night, someone handed her a glass of champagne. Diddy smiled and said, "Just one. You'll be fine." That's the last thing she clearly remembers, the night she told the court that after drinking from that glass, everything got blurry. The room started spinning. My thoughts slowed down. I remember the lights and people laughing, then nothing else. The next morning, she woke up confused, not because of anything else, but because something darker had happened. Her body felt heavy. Her memory wasn't great, but she still had to perform. She couldn't back out. Her team pushed her toward the stage and said, "The show must go on." When Britney spoke, the jury leaned in, clearly puzzled. Diddy didn't even look up. Now I know that night was a setup. It wasn't a party, it was a trap. And that glass was the start of it all. As Britney continued her testimony, she detailed what happened at Diddy's Las Vegas party that night. A gathering she now believes was carefully orchestrated to humiliate her and ruin her career. It wasn't just a party, it was planned. Britney said, "He picked me as the next scapegoat, and I didn't even know it." She described the scene at the Caesars Palace nightclub. Dozens of flashing cameras capturing celebrities drinking. Cassie was celebrating her 21st birthday in the VIP area. Then came Diddy, moving through the crowd like a host completely in control. She recalled he also seemed strangely focused on her. He kept looking at me, constantly offering drinks, telling the crowd to respect her when he grabbed the mic. It felt like I was in a show, like I was on display. According to Britney, Diddy wasn't the only one pressuring her that night. There were a lot of industry people there. Later, she found out these people were connected to TriStar, the very company that helped manage her conservatorship. Among them, Robin Greenhill, Britney explained, always stayed in the background at these parties, silently watching. And now, Robin is named in Lil Rod's lawsuit as the person who handled Diddy's payments to workers linked to his alleged sex trafficking. Britney told the jury she didn't know Robin's name at the time, but remembered his face because he was the one who led her into the VIP lounge with Diddy right before everything went dark. I trusted them. Britney said, I didn't think I was in danger, but that night I wasn't protected. I was trapped. After one glass of champagne, she started feeling not drunk, but disconnected. Her vision blurred, thoughts slowed, and she lost her balance. Her vision blurred, thoughts slowed, balance lost. She remembers hearing someone say, she's done. And then she remembers hearing someone say, she's done, followed by laughter. That was it. When she woke up the next morning, she said she felt like something had been done to her, but everyone around insisted she was fine. No one listened to me. They told me I was overreacting, but I knew something was wrong. I still know. Britney told the jury that looking back, she believes it was part of a bigger plan, a humiliating ritual meant to break her down and pave the way for what came next. And he did it. He was the center of it all. When Britney arrived at the VMA Awards that Sunday, she said she still hadn't fully recovered from what happened the night before. I felt dizzy and off balance. I wasn't myself anymore. She testified that her team insisted the show had to go on, that millions were watching, and she had to smile, dance, and pretend nothing was wrong. But I wasn't okay, and they knew it. She recalled rushing through makeup and wardrobe, but everything went wrong. The stylist handed her an outfit. She didn't recognize the sparkling bra and black shorts outfit that later got mocked all over the tabloids. She asked for something else, but that's what they gave her. I remember saying, this doesn't fit. And someone said, just wear it. You'll be fine. She was pushed on stage. The music started, the lights hit, and Britney just stood there, frozen. I tried to dance, tried to keep up, but I was too tired. I could barely move. What was supposed to be her comeback show turned into a disaster. But Britney told the jury it wasn't just a bad night. It was planned. They made sure I would fail. And he did it. He stood watching from the crowd, smiling, she said. She remembers seeing him sitting there calm, unfazed, not surprised at all. I remember that look. She remembers seeing him sitting there calm, unfazed, not surprised at all. I remember that look. It wasn't confusion. It was satisfaction. And then it blew up in the media, headlines everywhere, breaking me down in front of the whole world, then using that to lock me up. She ended her testimony by looking straight at Diddy. You started this, and now I'm the one ending it. Britney's voice shook, but stayed clear as she moved on to the next part of her testimony. She no longer spoke like a performer, but began speaking like a survivor. I didn't break down, she said. They tore me apart piece by piece. The courtroom leaned in as she named Lou Taylor and Robin Greenhill. The words from Tristar Entertainment have haunted Britney's story for years. Now, finally, she's under oath. The moment she spoke those words, Diddy's lawyers froze. They knew what was about to happen. Britney testified that after the 2007 VMA ceremony, her phone started ringing nonstop. Not with sympathy, not with support, but with demands. Her dad, Jaime, a man named Larry, and a woman she barely knew at the time, Lou Taylor, told her she was spiraling downward and needed to be restructured. They talked about taking control of her estate, and just weeks after that night, she testified that Lou Taylor's voice was always calm, too calm. Listening to her didn't sound like someone who wanted to help. Her tone sounded like someone waiting for something. Then came appointments, psychiatric evaluations, rehab centers that she doesn't even remember agreeing to, and going through all of it. Lou and Robin were always lurking around. According to Britney, this wasn't about getting healthy. It was rehearsals, a dress rehearsal for something much darker. She said they set up the conservatorship before I even knew that was a word. And then that moment made the courtroom go cold. I found out Lou Taylor used to work with Shock Holmes. They started the same record label, Uptown Records. That's how they knew each other. That's how they moved. She pulled out a photo, a framed screenshot from a Hollywood Reporter article confirming their professional relationship. I didn't just join the same team that destroyed my freedom. I was handed over to them. Britney swore she believed Diddy and Lou Taylor talked in the days after the VMAs about how her breakdown was the main reason the group pushed for the conservatorship. They said I was too emotional. but they were the ones pulling all the strings behind those emotions. As for Robin Greenhill, Britney said she was Lou's shadow, the one doing the dirty work, including testifying to approve money transfers from Diddy's account to the women in his entertainment network. She quoted from Lil Rod's lawsuit. They called her an accountant. I call her the fixer. When Britney went on, she shifted her focus to the facilities, the treatment centers that she considered part of the operation. Lou Taylor and her dad often broke her down. They said I needed help, but all they did was drug me until I couldn't speak. She said she was forced into a facility in the Caribbean, then taken to Malibu, then brought home under strict medication. She didn't agree. I don't drink. I don't party. I survived, and they treated me like a criminal. Britney testified that during this time, she almost had no control over her money, her meds, or her movements, and the frequent visitors she saw. Tristar's representatives and the lawyers her father hired were all part of Lou Taylor's network. Then came the most troubling truth. Britney said one of the medications she was prescribed, without any explanation, caused severe memory loss. I don't even remember what day it is today. I'd stare at the walls for hours, and when I asked why they were doing this to me, they said I had already signed it, but she hadn't. She told the jury that one day she was handed a piece of paper with the TriStar logo and a blank signature line. They said it was for her safety. I remember shaking. I was so scared. I didn't want to lose my child. She signed it the next day. That's when the conservatorship began. Britney paused, fighting back tears. I wasn't protected. I was imprisoned. She accused Lou Taylor of transferring hundreds of thousands of dollars from her estate into accounts controlled by TriStar, and Diddy's financial advisor had been in contact multiple times. Ask yourself why my money was connected to the man who gave me that drink. She explained that every time she tried to resist by skipping a dose, refusing photos, or asking to go out, she was punished. More drugs, more restrictions. And did he do this? She said he was kept in the loop. He was watching the whole show. He started at a distance and never stepped in to stop it. Britney's voice grew softer, but every word hit like thunder. She said, I didn't just lose control of my life. I lost control of my image, my body, and my privacy. Britney testified that Robin Greenhill and Lou Taylor had full access to her phone, her home, and her schedule. But it wasn't just monitoring, it was surveillance. They had cameras in every room, even in my bedroom. I wasn't allowed to close doors. She said messages between her and her kids were monitored, even her Google searches. If I looked up my own name too many times, they'd lock my iPad. She revealed that the black box security team, hired by her father, was instructed to work directly with TriStar, and Robin Greenhill created mirror iCloud accounts to track everything she did. She said she learned this from former employee Alex Vav, who risked his safety to tell the truth. Then came a chilling statement. They didn't just watch me, they recorded me. The courtroom went silent. I asked to see the footage. They said it was for safety reasons. But I knew what they were doing. They were collecting evidence of my weakness so they could keep me quiet. She claimed one of the tapes showed rehearsal footage from the VMAs where she broke down and said, I can't do this. Something's wrong with me. She said that footage was shown to her legal team as proof that she was unstable. And then that night, the party with Diddy. I asked if there was any security footage. They told me it didn't exist, but now I believe there is. I believe it was recorded, maybe even used. She looked straight at Diddy. He said he wanted to help, but I was the one locked in the room. I'm the one who lost 14 years of my life. Then she turned to the jury. I know everyone thinks I lost control, that I needed help, but that's because they only saw what they were shown. They saw the clips, the breakdowns, the memes. Is there any security footage? People told me it doesn't exist, but now I believe it does. I believe it was recorded, maybe even used. She looked straight at Diddy. He said he wanted to help, but the one trapped in the room is me. I'm the one who lost 14 years of my life. Then she turned to the jury. I know everyone thinks I'm out of control, that I need help, but that's because they only see what they've been shown. They've watched the clips, the crises, the memes. But all of that is not me. That's what they've done to me. After saying that, Britney closed the file in front of her, but it was clear she was just getting started. Britney's tone shifted as she entered the darkest chapter of her story. The lights in the courtroom seemed to dim as she described the night she believes they took everything from her. Her freedom, her reputation, her voice, and it all relates to that moment at Pure Nightclub. "Do you know what's worse than losing your mind?" she said. "People say you did that while knowing someone else caused it." Britney recalled waking up on the morning of September 9th, 2007, just hours before the VMA Awards, trembling all over. Her coordination was, "You need structure." Britney recalled her saying, "We can help you." Then Lou allegedly offered to arrange treatment and media damage control. But with a condition after 1 week, Britney said her legal documents started changing. Power of attorney shifted, and suddenly strangers she never hired were managing her medical and financial decisions. Then came a major revelation. Britney claims she later learned Diddy had called Lou Taylor right after the Voss incident. He told her, "I've gone too far." He said the public had seen what they needed to see. Britney paused, swallowing hard. It all happened so fast, just overnight, one performance, and suddenly I wasn't in control of my life anymore. She then testified that that night, someone had tried to contact her, a venue staff member who reportedly saw her collapse backstage and tried to report it, but they were never reached. Later, I found out Diddy had connections with every major media outlet covering that year's VMAs. That's why the story quickly shifted from her having a bad night to her losing control. Only later did she find out that Diddy had called Lou Taylor directly after the Voss incident. He told her that I had gone too far. He stated that the public had seen what they needed to see. Britney paused, swallowing hard. It happened so fast, just overnight, one performance, and suddenly I no longer had control over my life. Then she testified that on that night, someone tried to reach out to her, a member of the venue staff, who was said to have witnessed her collapse backstage and tried to report it, but they were never able to get in touch. Later, I found out Diddy had connections to every major media outlet covering that year's VMA Awards. That's why the story quickly shifted from her having a bad night to her being out of control. That story justified everything they did next. Her voice rose slightly. I wasn't breaking down. I was being brought down. The whole room was still in shock. The jurors blinked slowly, some visibly emotional. Britney leaned forward, for the first time her hands steady. And he wasn't just a guest at the VMA. He was the architect. The courtroom fell silent as Britney revealed a piece of evidence no one expected. For years, I was told there was no video. She started telling about that night, but they lied, and I saw it. She testified that in the final months under guardianship, a former TriStar employee contacted her anonymously. They claimed to have seen raw, unedited security footage from the night of September 8th, 2007, the night she attended Diddy's party at Pure Nightclub. According to the source, this footage was never released, never mentioned in any investigation, and never recorded by hotel security because it bypassed hotel security. Britney said it went straight to Diddy. She testified that in the footage, she was seen dancing for a bit, drinking from a straw handed to her by a man in a gray suit. She remembered that man. At the time, she didn't know his name. But years later, she recognized him in a photo as one of Diddy's close assistants in the video. Britney said she started to stagger and then sat down, looking disoriented. A group of men surrounded her. A few minutes later, she was let out of frame. The footage stopped before anything else happened. But that was enough. Britney told the jury, "That shows I wasn't in control. It shows I didn't leave that club on my own." She described how the footage was reportedly shown to Robin Greenhill and others inside Tristar's office, not to help her, but to keep it as insurance evidence proving Britney Spears was unfit. They didn't destroy that footage. She said they kept it like a trophy. Britney then claimed the anonymous whistleblower told her that Tristar and affiliated companies had dozens of similar tapes, not just of her, but of other artists. 2. She said these tapes were internally called insurance tapes. They filmed the girls at parties, hotels, even in bathrooms. Britney spoke with a trembling voice, saying Diddy knew all about it. He didn't just film me. He kept me there. She paused, then looked straight at the jury. Now do you understand why I couldn't leave? Why, every time I tried to speak out, they had something haunting me at the VMA's performance. That wasn't a breakdown. That was evidence. Evidence that they had locked me up. She turned toward Diddy for the first time. And you saw it all happen. You let it happen. And now, you can't hide behind money and champagne anymore. When Britney gave her final testimony, her voice was no longer shaking. That sound came not just from pain, but from anger. I want to make this clear for the record. She began. I'm not crazy. I was locked up. She looked at the judge, then at the jury. They made me a joke. They painted me as unstable. And when I spoke out, they told the world it was part of my breakdown. But I never broke. I screamed. She testified that after the conservatorship was put in place, she was monitored 24/7. Her calls were recorded. Her medication was controlled. Her children were taken away. And her income was sent straight to a network of corporations and managers, all connected through TriStar, and through that link between TriStar and Diddy. I lost $100 million while trapped in that cage. They said they were protecting me, but really they were protecting their system. She described how even after the conservatorship ended, she still felt unsafe speaking out. They told Diddy if I opened my mouth, I'd disappear again. So I stayed silent until now. Then the moment no one expected came. Britney pulled out a folded, handwritten letter, edges worn and faded. She told the court it was a letter she wrote in 2009 but was never allowed to send. I wrote this to Diddy. I was 27 back then. I was still trying to understand how someone I barely knew could have such a huge role in ruining my life. She read aloud. I hope it's worth it, no matter what they promised you, because you helped them hurt me, and I don't know if you'll ever admit that. But I know you have. I see it on your face. The night you raised your glass to me before the VMAs, you knew I was trapped, and you smiled. The whole room went silent. Even Diddy didn't move. Britney folded the letter and slipped it into her pocket. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for fame. I'm doing this because I want my kids to know the truth. I want them to know their mom isn't a failure. She was trapped. She looked back at the judge for 14 long years. I'm begging for someone to listen. Now you have. Don't look away. Then Britney Spears stood up, thanked the court, and walked out. Not as a pop star, but as a woman who finally told her story. They tried to bury Diddy without a word. He couldn't do that because this was the first time he was the one being watched.